Hi guys, welcome to this episode of the Adult Asian Pop Fan. I'm Tiffany Jane and I'm your host today and every day that you watch this channel. Welcome back. This episode is going to be a little bit on the longer side. It's going to be one of my longer episodes just because there's so much to get to and there's so much attention to detail that had to go into me researching this and putting this whole story together and not to leave out some important facts. And I just want to make sure I include everything. So I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, like, subscribe, and share this video. Join my Facebook page and Facebook group and follow me on Twitter. All the details are located in the description. So this episode, we're going to talk about the dispatch controversy and the media being silenced in general. So I don't know if you guys heard, but Dispatch is in a little bit of hot water with VIPs. Basically, they had over the last couple of months been covering stories on YG artists. Some of those stories have been a little bit embarrassing to those artists, and fans pretty much think that there's a problem with them overstepping some boundaries and, going above and beyond what is necessary just to report the news. So let's talk about what actually happened. They covered a story on Mino, which people didn't like. They covered Choi Ji-woo's wedding, which was a secret wedding, and they released some information about her husband, some information they felt was really private, given the fact that he is not a celebrity. Like, people really had issues with that. And basically the straw that broke the camel's back was the story on GDragon's preferential treatment within the military, and some of his health records were released, and people did not like that at all. So it prompted VIPs to basically band together and start a petition online. The name of the petition is the request for the discontinuation of Dispatch. Basically, they were asking the government to come in and shut down Dispatch because they feel enough is enough and they don't want to see any more of this type of stuff going on. And in a very short amount of time, the petition gained about over 200,000 signatures, which was really surprising on my end. And basically, with that many signatures, the government has to issue a response. They can't overlook that this many people are upset over something. So here we are. So let's take a look at what the legalities are behind that, because just understanding the legal process and the laws within South Korea are pretty much going to be paramount to understanding this case, whether or not a case should be bought, and really getting into the depth of things. So first off, South Korea has some of the strictest laws on defamation, libel, and privacy laws in the developed world. Like, they're very strict. Basically, one of the big components is that truth alone is not enough to defend yourself against a defamation and liability case. A libel case, I mean. You have to have intent. Basically, what means, like, what was your motivation behind releasing this information? Were you doing it for the greater good? Were you doing it under, the people's right to know? Or were you just exposing somebody for malicious reasons? So that comes into the case of libel and defamation. Of course, the difference between libel and defamation is libel is saying it, defamation is writing it. So we want to make sure that we understand those things going forward and how it plays into it. Another thing is that defamation and libel, they are criminal matters. And that's a huge thing, because in most defamation and libel cases in the West, you basically, you get humiliated back, you pay a fine, and then that's it, and case closed. And in Korea, South Korea, you can go to jail. It's a crime. It's a criminal matter in South Korea. So saying or publishing negative things about people, that even if it's true, if your intent is not there, you can be in jail for a few years, actually. So it's a very serious crime there. So yeah, that's what's weighted on all of this. Moving on to privacy law, South Korea has the Personal Information Protection Act, which in a nutshell protects unauthorized collection, abuse, or leakage or misuse of personal information. So just to make sure I don't slip up on this, I'm just going to go ahead and read you guys verbatim what that means, because you have to understand what personal data is to know when you are misusing it. So personal data is defined as, in South Korea, as information pertaining to any living person that makes it possible to identify such individual by their name, resident registration number, which is like their social security number, and including the information, if not by itself, make it possible to identify any specific individual if combined with any information. So that's what they consider personal information, just in general. Now they have another definition for sensitive information. So sensitive personal information pertains to ideology, belief, joining, withdrawing from a trade union, political parties, political opinions, health, sex life, criminal history data, DNA information acquired for genetic examination, as well as other personal information, if processed, is likely to infringe on the personal data of subjects. So there's the verbatim definitions of what is defined as personal and sensitive information. So this part is important because fans feel like the health information of GDragon's or GD's health records being released, that was a violation of that law. So they may be in some sort of hot water for releasing that kind of information. So, but I also want to share with you some of my own experience when in South Korea. I've been to South Korea 3 times, the most recent time being last year, and I was there on a train in Seoul with 3 friends, and I wanted to take a picture. And one of my friends had actually mentioned, be careful when you're taking your photo, because there's no, it's against the law to actually take a photo of other people in South Korea. Like, and also when you have your camera, you have to have like that clicking sound when you take a photo. That's basically to alert anybody that you are in fact taking a photo, because you can't take pictures of people even though they're in a public space. In public, you can't take their photos without their permission, even if they're in a public space. So that's just my own experience with their privacy law. So of course we know here in the US that you can't have privacy in a public setting. If it's a public space, you're there, your picture can be taken pretty much. Also, you know, the photographs belong to the photographer, not the person in the photo. So that's a big distinction. When we're talking about all these things, privacy and defamation, libel laws, how it pertains to celebrities. Now, here in the US and much of the West, as I would think, you surrender a lot of your privacy and, you know, protections against libel and defamation cases when you become a celebrity or a public figure. A lot of those rights are laxed on your end because you're in the public limelight, and we consider that to be a personal choice that you have made to be a public figure in most parts. So when it comes to defamation and libel, burden of proof flips when you are a celebrity, and it's placed on you to the celebrity basically to come forward with the information that this didn't take place. So, for example, if I wanted to say that Britney Spears fucked a donkey, it would be Britney Spears' responsibility to prove that she in fact did not fuck a donkey. So she would have to ward off these crazy accusations, basically, because she's famous. And that's why it makes sense that a lot of celebrities just choose to ignore or shrug things off, because they would literally be in court every other day trying to ward off attacks or ward off like silly things just being untrue things being printed or said about them. So, you know, like most of them just choose to pick and choose their battles as they come, because, like, again, you'll be in court every day. So when it's really damaging, that's usually when they step in and say, no, I have to fight this. This can't continue. I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago, Justin Bieber had this crazy lady saying that he was her baby daddy and he needs to step up and help her take care of her child. Obviously that was a huge story at the time, and that was pre his bad boy persona. This is when he was still like the boy next door, doing all the good things, perfect little guy, basically. So that was very damaging at the time. So of course he stepped in and he fought this lady because she was going all around TV. She was in publications doing all this crazy stuff, saying that he was the father of her child. So he had to disprove that he was not. He had to disprove that he was the father, and, you know, easy DNA test. I'm not sure. I think she bowed out because she never presented a DNA test, which would have taken care of all of this. And I'm not sure the specifics that happened, but, you know, the lady did go away because she was, in fact, facing a lawsuit from him afterwards. So, yeah, they step in when it's big things like that, because it'd be just exhausting to do that, be in court all the time somebody said something terrible about you as a celebrity. So this is where I'm saying, like, lack of information. I could not find this distinction in writing when I'm talking about South Korean celebrities. Like, it appears that some of the laws are laxed for celebrities. Obviously, you can take a picture of a Korean celebrity in Korea when they're in a public setting. So I don't know, I couldn't find it in writing whether or not, you know, that was okay, or, you know, exactly what happens when you're talking specifically about a celebrity, which is important when we're talking about the media and celebrities. Now, what do we make of all of this? Like, how do we feel now that we have all the legal jargon out of the way and all the facts on the table, all the facts that we could uncover about this case? What do we think about this? So, myself personally, I consider Dispatch to be just your average media pop culture tabloid. So I think they're kind of like Us or In Touch magazine, TMZ. They're that equivalent to in South Korea. That's what I think about them. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong, sometimes they post things that are just absolutely absurd, but, you know, that's what a tabloid does. I just think that people are forgetting the fact that as a celebrity, you kind of need the media. Like, it's a double-edged sword. You need the media. It provides them a bunch of free advertisement. It puts their faces, their music, their materials, their art in front of people. It gives them exposure, again, for free, and they need it to grow. So a celebrity takes a risk with the media when they put themselves out there. Sometimes it's gonna be a bad story, and it's not gonna be something that, you know, you necessarily want printed about you, but then on the other hand, you have all this great exposure. So, you know, celebrities do need the media, but the thing that sets it apart when we talk about South Korea versus the West, South Korea has this added layer of fan culture where when people are not doing things that are inherently bad, are still hung up to dry, like going out for drinks with friends, falling in love and dating. Like, that's stuff that ruins careers in Korea. You know, like, our celebrities date who they want, sleep with who they want, and that's that. So, and most of them aren't shy about that either. So that's one thing that's particular to the South Korean fan culture. And maybe if fans stop doing that, then celebrities can hone in on things that are actually scandalous, things that actually are legitimate, like, oh shoot, this shouldn't have got out, like, oh, we shouldn't be talking about this right now. Like, they can hone in on keeping those things quiet, that then worry about fending off reports of boyfriends and girlfriends and, you know, stuff like that. Yes, I had a drink, I'm 22 years old, yes, I'm old enough to drink. So yeah, they take the bad with the good, and like, they need the press. So, and Dispatch is one of the larger media outlets in South Korea. You take that away, you're taking away a lot of exposure as well for some celebrities. Some people that already have a name for themselves, and they'll be fine, and GD is one of them. He has a name for himself. But the up and coming artists, they need that exposure. They need like somebody to take a photograph with them where they're appearing somewhere, you know? Basically, my problem with this whole scenario is I think that it was a very short-sighted decision of fans to petition a government body to come in and silence a media outlet. I feel like it essentially gives the government the power to gaslight the public, and in the worst case scenario, silence, give them a warped sense of reality. So government intervention in the media is just downright terrible. If you look out throughout the world, tyrannical and authoritarian societies all have state-controlled media, if they have any like media at all. There's some places where it's illegal to watch TV. So, and it's actually not too far from Korea. So it's scary that people would be so concerned about a rich and famous celebrity who lives a pretty decent, comfortable life, that they would sign away basically their rights to free, unoppressed media and free, unoppressed information to protect somebody that lives a life probably more comfortable and protected than their own. Like, so it's just saddening and maddening, because if the government does decide, hey, we need to step in, like, people are upset about this, if they can kill stories about celebrities, then they can start killing stories about themselves, about politicians, corrupt businesses, and things of that nature. They can start killing those stories, and that's where it gets really scary. Especially for South Korea in general. In recent years, they are kind of sort of fresh off their own corrupt president. So, and it was the media that broke that story, that exposed this president. Like, that's how I know it was due to the media. That's how I even know about it in the States. So, you know, a country where you did have a very corrupt president, like, why would you want to silence the media and give them that power? Because every time you do something, you set precedents. It becomes the norm. So you're basically handing over the press because you don't like what they posted about a celebrity. I mean, like, it just doesn't make sense. And for international fans that are trying to like weigh in and write into this, it's just like, stay out of it, because you wouldn't have to live with the consequences of these actions, of these signatures. So it'd be interesting to see what the government does say, how they do respond to this, and if they do decide to actually act. I hope for their sake that the sake for the people, that they do not go in and dismantle Dispatch, because that can just be the beginning, and then it could very well snowball from there. So I will be looking into this and watching the effects of this and see what's going on, keep updated on what the decision finally is on this. Thank you for sitting through this video with me. I hope you found this very fascinating. I hope you learned something even. Like I said in the beginning, like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.